Hi, I'm Andre and I'm a black nerd, and this is my spoilers review for Wonder Woman. I talk a lot about movies past and present on this channel, so if you like that sort of thing, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. If you're not, click that subscribe button. Also make sure that bell is rung, be part of the squad by the bell. So yes, you have requested that I do a spoilers review for Wonder Woman. For real, y'all, I watched this movie 3 times, but I know what some of you are gonna say, Andre, you didn't do a spoilers review for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'm sorry, I felt like other than a couple of plot twists, I thought I said everything I needed to say about that movie. So I'll tell you what, I will do a Wonder Woman spoilers review, but I will also sneak in a little bit of Guardians Volume 2 spoilerage in this, because there's some things about Guardians Volume 2 that I want to talk about that's spoilery, that is also similar to things that are about Wonder Woman that's spoilery. So you get a Wonder Woman spoilers review with a little side dish, an after dinner mint of Guardians Volume 2 spoilerage. How's that sound? Again, let me say that I love the Themyscira portions of this movie. Just that section of the movie is so impressive to me. It's just so beautiful, that island. It's super colorful, specifically for a DC film. And it doesn't just have 1 or 2, but an entire population of strong Amazon women warriors, ready to fight, always training, always battling, always in slow-mo. Jumping off of horses, leaning off the back of horses to pick up shields and swords. And when Steve Trevor crash lands on their island and a bunch of Germans follow him, their secret place is revealed. They are ready to fight, and I love watching them fight. Hippolyta jumping off a horse, swinging around in a circle, slow motion style, knocking 2 Germans out with a sword. I was like, go ahead, y'all. These Amazons are fierce. Particularly Antiope, played by Robin Wright. She was the absolute best. My favorite part is she runs and she yells, "Shield!" and they hold a shield up and she jumps on top of the shield and she jumps up in the air and she's got a bow and 3 arrows and she jumps behind 3 Germans in slow-mo and they're looking at her and she's looking back like, "What's up?" Fa-ting! And they're like, and they all get hit at the same time. She pulls a Deadpool on them, y'all. Look at the dudes' faces before they get hit with the arrows. They gotta look on their face like, "Oh, we dead." And she gotta look on her face like, "Oh, I know." Antiope was one of my favorite characters on Themyscira, and the movie knew this too, which is why they killed her. She sacrifices herself when Diana's about to get shot because she knows that Diana is worth something more to this world. She has a bigger quest down the line, so she jumps in front of the bullet, takes the bullet, dies, and I feel so sad. Just about as sad as I felt when I was looking up at space at Yondu, who sacrificed himself so that Star-Lord can continue to fight. He may be your father, but he ain't your daddy. And then he died in space and everyone had the funeral for Yondu, and it's just like, oh, this hurts, because Yondu was one of my favorites from both the first movie and this movie, and now he's gone, but that's what he had to do because he treated Star-Lord so bad, but at the same time he was doing that to protect him because he knew what was going to happen to Quill if he went back to Ego, and so he was mean because he cared, and then he had to do the sacrifice and right his wrongs. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all! I only have a couple of complaints about the Themyscira scenes. One is they give this nice, cool, but long story, a backstory about how Zeus created the humans and then created the Amazons when the humans were fighting because of Ares, the god of war. It was this really cool story about the Amazons and the creation by Zeus and Ares killing these other gods, but it was all done in this CGI storybook, like a dark, gritty DC version of Reading Rainbow or Captain OG Read More. So instead of this CBS storybook version of this story, I would have liked to have seen that played out as an actual scene. That would have been cool, just so we would have gotten another cool action sequence with these Amazons on Themyscira or just in their godlike world. That would have been neat. And I hate to be this guy, but I couldn't help but notice you get a lot of close-ups of Hippolyta, you get a lot of close-ups of Antiope, you get a lot of close-ups of Diana, but there are some of these other Amazons that keep popping up on the island. Some of them of the darker skin persuasion. They're always in the background. Just make sure you know that they're there. They get a line or 2 every once in a while, but then that's pretty much it. I wish that some of these other Amazons that were there could have gotten a little bit more of a screen presence than a line here or there. Because there's this one woman, she got braids, she was buff from arms, she was like, yeah, come mess with me. And someone like hits her with a stick and the stick breaks on her back and she just turns around and is like, punch. I was like, tell me her story. Can we please see more of that, please? And then there's this one woman that's talking about what they should do with Steve Trevor, and Diana turns to her and goes, "Senator?" She calls her Senator, and I was like, oh, that's a senator? I had no idea. You didn't really establish the fact that there was any other government people in this island other than the Queen, Hippolyta. I just would like more lines from some of these women other than that one nurse running around, "Diana, I see you!" Just a little bit more than that. But hey, at least you ladies did better than that one Amazon. that one that like got to be badass for 5 seconds. She shot that rope out. She was swinging on that rope, shot a German with her arrow. She's like, yeah, I'm a badass Amazon. And that German turned around with a bullet and was like, oh yeah? Boo! And you gotta see that thing in slow-mo. They slow-moed her death. And then she gets hit and you think like it's all done, but then Diana looks back and they had to do that shot of her dead, just like hanging, dangling like this. I was like, come on, that's wrong, y'all. Why you gotta do her like that? At least all the women in Guardians Volume 2 stayed alive. Well, except for Quill's mother, who died because Ego fell in love with her, and rather than stay with her, he decided he had to complete his mission of taking over the entire galaxy, so he put a tumor in her head, and that's why she's dead, and he reveals that to Star-Lord, and then breaks his Walkman. How you gonna do that? That's wrong. What were we talking about again? Oh yeah. Again, I love the comedy in Wonder Woman. I thought a lot of the comedy was very natural, not forced like a lot of my videos. And I also like Lucy Davis in this. She was Etta Candy, Steve Trevor's secretary, or as Diana would say, that's what you call slavery. They had some really good scenes. I usually don't like the let's go shopping scenes in movies or TV shows, but it was actually pretty funny here because I love the whole bit of Diana just wearing these very frilly, girly clothes. And she's like, I can't fight in this. Would you call this armor? Ripping clothes apart because they're too tight, or she's like in these big fluffy dresses trying to kick and stuff. It was just really good physical comedy and showed that Gal Gadot could not only just be this character for the dramatic and action pieces, but she can also have some fun with her too, bring a little bit of comedy and humor to her, which was nice. Again, a very nice thing to see in the DC movie universe. Gal Gadot, she was really good at getting a response out of me just from a look. She would just have occasionally these expressions on her face, these looks or whatever. She'd be like you mean you were lying? That's good stuff. You know, you can say a lot about dialogue and about action, but when someone gives good acting through just facial expressions, that's always a thumbs up for me, and I appreciate and respect that. I love when she finally gets her outfit, which is basically close to what Steve Trevor is wearing, and they put the glasses on her, and they're like, oh yeah, now she doesn't look beautiful. I was like, nice little reference to Clark Kent Superman there. But it cracked me up when she's trying to go through the revolving door with her sword and shield in hand, trying to pull a perfect strangers get through that door, standing tall. And she loves ice cream. Wonder Woman likes ice cream, Supergirl, they should go out and have a ladies' night at Cold Stone. I wonder if Gamora from Guardians Volume 2 likes ice cream, but then if Gamora liked ice cream, then Nebula would have to try to prove that she likes ice cream more than Gamora, and then they would get this whole backstory about how Nebula kept trying to prove that she was just as strong as Gamora, but because she couldn't do that, Gamora didn't realize that the entire time that Gamora was fighting just to survive, to show her loyalty to Thanos, Nebula was constantly having her body disconnected and adding mechanical body parts to her body, completely ripping her apart and putting her together in different pieces to try to make her as strong as Gamora, when all Nebula wanted was a sister. That was a very touching scene, and it really brought a little bit more of emotion to Nebula than just making her this bad person who had vengeance against Gamora and the Guardians. You really could see the pain that she went through because she really wanted to relate to Gamora, but because of their relationship with each other and with Thanos, she couldn't have the thing that she wanted, and Gamora was very oblivious to it because she was just trying to survive herself. What were we talking about again? Oh yeah, ice cream. There's a group of supporting characters that were soldiers in Wonder Woman, and I know it's gonna be really easy to compare that crew to the drunken soldiers that they picked up in Captain America: The First Avenger, but hey, they were cool supporting characters. I like Charlie, who was this sniper but yet couldn't shoot because he had this PTSD going on. They meet this Native American along the way that helps him out, and I really like Sammy, who was this actor. He could impersonate anyone you needed him to be, and oh man, Sammy had this whole speech with Diana. It was really quick, but he was basically talking about how he didn't want to be a soldier. He wanted to be an actor. You know, he really enjoyed acting, but he wasn't able to get parts or progress in his acting career because of his color, the color of his skin. And I was like, man, you dealing with that in World War I. I know people, including myself, who are dealing with that today. But I really like this team, and again, I gotta give props to Chris Pine and Steve Trevor. What was nice about these guys was that even though Wonder Woman was the star of this picture, she was strong, she was out there in the forefront, the guys were competent. They helped, they worked along. Steve Trevor specifically with Diana They were just so good at working together as a team, not only in the acting scenes, but just in the action. You would have Diana do something over here, and then Steve would help out. You know, he would shoot somebody real quick. He did like a side shot one time. Like one time he was running and some dude was running up to him. He didn't even look at him. He just pulled his gun out to the side and went bam, and that dude was gone. Like they really did a good job in working together. So it never felt like they were inferior, they were incompetent, they were dumb or anything like that. This wasn't like a Kevin in the movie I shall not name ever again on this channel from 2016. You know the one. There wasn't anything like that with the dudes here. These were guys that were able to be competent counterparts to Diana while still having Diana be this strong central female character, and I thought that was really well done. Does that make sense? Is that PC enough? Did I social everything right? And of course, I love when they do all the battling because that leads to the the best part of this entire movie, man. When she walks through no man's land in slow motion and that bullet's coming at her, she's just like, nope. And then she pulls that shield out and she's just standing there while they're shooting and shooting. Everyone's able to come in, and then she gets in closer. She's like, I'm going in. And then that music kicks in. Dun, 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 dun. She blasts through that window and everyone's looking at her like, what's going on? And she's like, let's do this. Cue my music. And she's like sliding across the place and jumping in slow motion, and she comes back around in slow motion, and then she pulls the lasso of True Foul, whoa, and she starts flipping people around, and then she sees this guy shooting from a bell tower, pew, 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 and she's like, oh, I got you, and then Chris Pine comes out with that shield callback, shield, and she runs, and then she jumps, boom, damn, this scene is amazing, oh my God, oh, when I get the DVD Blu-ray to this, I'm watching that scene so many times. And she does all this to save a village, and everyone's happy, and Wonder Woman and Steve are dancing in the snow, and then they go up in this room, and you know, everyone's happy, and then that village that they saved gets gassed later because she tries to stop Ludendorff because she thinks Ludendorff is Ares in disguise, and Steve's like, you can't kill somebody in the embassy there, but then Ludendorff's like, oh, ain't no one gonna stop me? And then she's all sad and she's like, okay, now Ludendorff got to go. And this is where things take a little bit of a turn in the land of Wonder Woman. As much as I've got to give this movie so much praise for everything that was flowing so nicely and being very character driven and very emotional, it goes back to your typical third act CGI, explosion, big old action fest, and of course, the thing that I am getting sick and tired of, Guardians did it and Wonder Woman did it. The freaking, hey, I'm your ally, I'm your friend, but secretly I'm the villain. Oh my gosh, man. Can we stop this? So you had Ego and Guardians, and you're like, oh, he's Quill's dad, so clearly he's a good guy. But come on, man. The moment you saw Mantis give that one look of concern when they meet up together, you already know Ego ain't on the up and up. And I will admit, they kind of shocked me with the whole Ego put the tumor in Quill's mom. I was not expecting that. And then in Wonder Woman, you got Ludendorff this entire time being so sinister, being so evil, tempting Dr. Poison to create this special gas that even gas mask can't stop. Putting people in a room, closing them in a door with gas, throwing one gas mask in there, and Dr. Poison's like, the gas, it will not protect them. And he's like, they do not know that. And then they're all dying while Dr. Poison's looking at the window while it's cracking. Oh, yes. Oh. So you're thinking, oh, Ludendorff must be Ares in disguise, but of course he's not Ares in disguise, because the entire time that Wonder Woman's like, Ares, he's Ludendorff is Ares. You're like, no, he ain't Ares. So who could Ares be? Obviously, it has to be the British government ally that's been helping you this entire time and funding your fight and happens to walk around with a cane limping, so he clearly could not be the bad guy, Ares. You know, and whatever. After the second or third time, it didn't bother me as much as it did the first time. And I will admit, I like the idea that Ares never created the weapons himself, that he always planted these ideas into the humans and it was their decision to make these things. And that was his way of proving that, hey, I'm telling you, these humans are naturally wrong. So I like that. But I'm sorry. I've seen a lot of images of Ares. I've seen actual mythology images of Ares. I've seen DC Comics and DC animated versions of Ares. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be discriminatory or judgmental, but Professor Lupin ain't Ares. That is not how Ares is supposed to look. I'm mad that Jason Momoa is Aquaman just because he probably could have been Ares. I'm mad that The Rock is gonna be Black Adam and was probably off doing Baywatch because he could have been Ares. That's what I see when I see Ares, not, hello, hello everybody, I'm a British guy with a mustache. Even when he puts his armor on as Ares, when the armor all gets connected to him, he opens up a little section here and you still see his little British face and a little British mustache. I'm sorry, at this point, I would have accepted Dr. Poison as Ares over this dude. And no, look, he was a good actor, he did his job, fine, but I couldn't let it sink in that was the true Ares. I was waiting at some point for him to turn from that form to, this is not my final form. I thought he was gonna turn into somebody else and I'd be like, okay, I get it. He was in disguise as this old man and now he's gonna morph into the actual Ares, and they're like, nope, that is him. That is exactly how he looks. When he lands from Earth from fighting the Zeus, he looked just like that dude the entire time. That's our Ares, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, and then we get all the explosions and the stuff that we're used to in the third act of these types of movies, both Marvel and DC. Very, very heavy on explosion and spectacle rather than the character fights that we got beforehand. Kind of similar to the third act of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I think I said the exact same thing about the movie's third act. Oh well, I still enjoyed it. I still had a great time. I still highly recommend it. The only reason why I harp on this particular section so much is because up to that point, this movie was close to perfection for me. Like, I personally was like, this is amazing, one of the best DC movies. I'm loving the pacing. I'm loving that it's taking its time to establish and develop these characters and not just giving me a bunch of action sequences so that when the action sequences take place, I feel invested in them. Everything was going beat by beat, like, this is good, this is good. And then when it gets to that section, it's like, oh, it's like you were running and you were in first place in track and then your shoestring just came loose and you tripped on it and you fell down flat on your face and you still crossed the finish line, but you crawled a little bit and you got a little bit of scratches about here and here and your knees are scuffed up and your elbows. But no, I gotta admit, man, that one part in Wonder Woman when Diana got mad and she was all like, yeah! And then she like runs to those people and then Ares is just kind of like standing there floating. He's not even saying anything. He's just kind of like looking. He was like that. It's like, and she's all like she pulled a final smash move. But I will say I did like the Steve Trevor sacrifice. Him flying up in the air with the plane that was full of the gas bombs and making it explode so that way no one could get hurt. And he's sacrificing himself just like in Type he did. He sacrificed himself so that Diana could live and continue to fight and save the world for the future. I thought it was very, very impressive. Steve Trevor was a very good character. I really enjoyed his presence in this movie. So it's something that they could have copped out on and they were like, nope, this is what he has to do in this movie. It's the appropriate sacrifice he has to make because he loves Diana so much, but he cares about the people in the world so much. This is what he has to do to keep things going. And I really appreciate that. The same way that I felt that Yondu did that for Star-Lord when he sacrificed himself so that Quill could continue to fight. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all! Oh, and I'm also shocked that Wonder Woman did not have an after-credits scene. I was expecting them to do something that would connect this movie to Justice League, but no, you get this really cool animated credits sequence, but no after-credits scene. I guess because Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 had 5 after-credits scenes, there were no after-credits scenes left for the rest of the movies this summer. It's like Wonder Woman came up to the after-credits buffet and they were like, kitchen's closed. But even with these third act criticisms, I enjoyed both of these movies. There's much more that I got out of this that I thought was good or great than the stuff in this that I thought was just okay or subpar. I still recommend this movie. I still enjoy this movie and I will still watch this movie over and over again. Which one was I talking about? Both of them. So now that all my spoilers are out there, what are your spoiler-filled thoughts about Wonder Woman or Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? Or do I have to freaking go see Captain Underpants? I feel like that's what most of the comments are gonna be like. Go see Captain Underpants, Andre, and review it. Y'all really gonna make me do that? Freaking Captain Underpants. I hate you. And yet I love you so much. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I want 4,298,320 likes on this thing, okay? Or at least like 1,000 or 2,000 likes, that'd be cool. And if you're new here, please subscribe because I make new videos every week, and feel free to always leave suggestions of movies you want me to check out, both present and past. I love you like a play cousin. I'm Addy 5000, chain chomp, ew.